The fire was small, but the fear was huge. The night Jesus was arrested, Peter stood in the courtyard, surrounded by whispers and shadows. "You were with him," a servant girl said. He looked down. His hands trembled, his heart pounded. "I don't know the man." And with that, the sound of a rooster split the air. 3 denials, 3 wounds to his soul. But imagine if that night went differently. What if Peter never denied Jesus? What if he stood up, spoke out, and never ran away? How would that moment change the cross and everything that came after it? Peter's story is one of the most human stories in the entire Bible. He wasn't perfect. He was passionate, loud, brave, emotional. The kind of man who talks first and thinks later. He was the one who walked on water, but also the one who sunk when fear took over. He was the one who said, "I'll never leave you, Lord," but also the one who ran when danger came. And that night, when Jesus was taken, Peter followed from a distance. You can almost picture it: the moonlight, the smell of smoke, the sound of footsteps echoing in the courtyard. People looked at him and whispered, "He's one of them." And in that moment, the brave fisherman became a frightened man. He denied Jesus once, twice, 3 times. Then came that awful sound. The rooster crowed. The gospel says Jesus turned and looked at Peter. Just one look, and Peter broke down and wept. Not because Jesus condemned him, but because he saw love even in that moment. And that's the thing. Peter's failure didn't end his story. It defined it. Because later, after the resurrection, Jesus came looking for him. He didn't ask, "Why did you fail me?" He asked, "Do you love me?" 3 denials, 3 chances to say yes again. That moment healed him. Peter went from broken fisherman to fearless leader, from the man who ran from fire to the man who faced lions. He became the rock upon which the church was built, not because he was flawless, but because grace rebuilt what fear had broken. But let's imagine something different. A night where Peter doesn't run, a night where courage beats fear. The soldiers take Jesus, and Peter follows, not from a distance, but right beside him. When the girl points and says, "You were with him," Peter doesn't deny it. He lifts his head and says, "Yes, I was, and I still am." The guards grab him, drag him forward, and chain him next to the one he calls Master. And when Jesus looks at him, it's not a look of sorrow, it's a look of pride. The 2 stand side by side before the high priest. When the crowd mocks, Peter doesn't hide. He speaks boldly. "This is the Son of God. I will not be silent." That night, Peter's bravery spreads like fire among the others. John refuses to run. Thomas stands firm. By morning, there are not 1, but 12 standing in the courts, ready to die for their teacher. When Jesus is crucified, Peter is there, watching, praying, unashamed. 3 days later, when the stone rolls away, Peter is not a man crushed by guilt. He's a man consumed by joy. The church explodes overnight. People see Peter's loyalty and believe. His courage changes everything. But something's missing. In this world, there's no story of a man who failed and was forgiven. No reminder that even those who fall can rise again. In this world, Peter's strength inspires many, but his weakness redeems none. Without his failure, we never see how deep grace goes. Without his tears, we never learn that brokenness can become the doorway to purpose. I used to think Peter's denial was his biggest mistake, but the more I read it, the more I realize it's his greatest message. Because every one of us has been Peter. We've made promises we didn't keep. We've said, "God, I'll never do that again." And then we did. We felt guilt, shame, distance. And we've wondered if God could ever still use someone like us. But Peter's story screams yes. God doesn't cancel people who fall. He restores them. Maybe that's why Jesus didn't choose someone perfect to lead his church. He chose someone who understood both failure and forgiveness. Because the truth is, faith isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. Peter fell hard, but grace lifted him higher. And maybe that's the message someone like me, and maybe even someone like you, needs to hear. that your mistakes don't disqualify you. They remind you just how much grace still works. So what if Peter never denied Jesus? Maybe the church would have been stronger, but it would have missed the beauty of a God who builds greatness from broken people. This is Atellix, Beyond the Verse, where we reimagine the stories that shaped eternity. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and join the journey, because sometimes to understand grace, we have to ask, what if?